So are mass deportations possible? Short answer is yes. By now, I'm pretty sure you've heard that President-elect Trump has selected Tom Homan as the border czar for his new administration. Now, it's important to note that Tom Homan is not new to politics, and he actually worked for former President Barack Obama in 2013. This was also the year in which he carried out his first mass deportation by deporting more than 430,000 undocumented immigrants, the highest number since 1892. Another important fact about Tom Homan is that he is the father of the family separation policy. Back in 2014, he began to argue that separating children from their families would be effective policy to deter future immigrants from coming into the United States. And another key player in the Trump administration is Stephen Miller. So Stephen Miller is set to become the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy under the new Trump administration. And historically, Stephen Miller has expressed hatred towards all immigrants, regardless of whether you committed a crime or how you came into the country. This man has expressed contempt, hatred, and disdain for immigrants all across the board. I'm bringing this all up because Trump actually responded to Tom Fitton, who is the president of a conservative group called Judicial Watch, in which he pretty much stated that Trump is set to dispatch the National Guard and military assets to carry out the mass deportation. And this is something that Trump responded by saying true in all capitalized letters with 3 exclamation points. Yes, Trump is set to dispatch the National Guard. Now, whether the logistics of actually carrying out a mass deportation that way is possible is very minimum. But it doesn't mean that a mass deportation won't take place. I've been watching a lot of the interviews that Tom Homan has been doing with CBS and with Fox, and he's talking about targeted operations, trying to find immigrants who have criminal records and pose a national security threat. Now, when you look at ICE's definition for what a national security threat is, it is very vague, and they keep it that way. They pretty much say anyone who is a threat to the community. The reason why they do that is so that they can deport as many people as possible. So based on all of the news that I've watched, read, and analyzed, this is going to be my opinion on how mass deportations will take place. And I will add some advice from an amateur because I am not an immigrant professional. So here we go. So I think that when it comes to mass deportations, they are going to start off with anyone with a criminal record. Based on what Tom Homan has had, they're going to do targeted operations. So if you have a tío or a tía, cousin, if you yourself are not a citizen and you have a criminal record, my recommendation would be to speak to a lawyer or to speak to some sort of professional in immigration to know what your plan is going to be in case you get deported or arrested. Secondly, I think that the next group that is at risk will be anyone with a protected status. If you have TPS, if you have DACA, if you have any type of protected status that is not citizenship, I believe they're going to cancel those programs. I mean, Stephen Miller canceled DACA back in 2017. So I would get together, I would have a family meeting. If you have an immigrant who lives with you, if you yourself are an immigrant, I would have a house meeting to discuss a plan in case ICE ever shows up at your house or you get arrested. It is best to be prepared for the worst than to be caught up in a situation where you don't know what to do. So my suggestion would be is have a place and plan in case you get deported. And lastly, and this is for immigrants and non-immigrants alike, have a self-care practice. I know that watching the news is not fun because it feels like they're serving fear monger times 10 for dinner every single night. And it sucks that we are going to have to go through this, but we need community care. If you're able to connect with a nonprofit organization, if you have friends, if you have anyone to connect to who you feel in solidarity with, do it. Because right now, the only people that are going to keep us together are going to be ourselves.